Hey guys, this is Bandito Bane, the well-rounded nerd, the super Spider-Man fan, and the Warhammer noob. And this is a video about me venting about the current Zeb Wells run and of Amazing Spider-Man and how it just doesn't make any sense. The entire premise of Amazing Spider-Man right now, or the current state of Amazing Spider-Man right now, is just a mess. And the fact that he thinks that he's doing what the fans want and not giving us what the fans need, or giving us what the fans want, not what the fans need, is really frustrating. Also, I have a problem with his writing. This type of mystery box style of writing he's adapted is just so very frustrating. So very, just so very, I don't know how to put into words, confusing. The thing is that I did like Zeb Wells. I got excited when he was announced that he was taking over Amazing Spider-Man. I did like the Beyond. I thought it was good, even though some people might not agree with me. I do really love Spider-Man. He's been my favorite comic book character since I was 9, maybe even earlier. The Spider-Man TV show was my childhood, and the fact that the current state of Spider-Man right now is completely mind-boggling, to say the least. First thing I have is the way that he keeps this yarn he keeps spinning. This was this arc that started in issue 21 was supposed to be a very important arc. We were supposed to know why it was 6 months, what happened in the missing 6 months. Why did Peter get excommunicated by the Avengers? Why did he get excommunicated by the Fantastic Four? Why he was very why was ousted by Aunt May? Why him and MJ broke up, and who this Paul guy was? And while we did get some answers, we got more questions than answers. We learned that the big bad evil guy was some guy named Rabin, who now goes by the Emissary, and he listens to the gods, and the gods, I think, are testing Peter, but I don't know. We meet Paul in an alternate Earth where all life was destroyed by the gods, and through a ceremony that killed that world's Spider-Man. And we learn that Paul was Rabin's partner. We learn that Peter and MJ were separated, and while it was 4 days for him, it was 4 years for her. But we are still looking at more questions than we do have any answers to begin with. We don't have anything to go by with what this run is going through. I mean, the whole thing just seems so erratic, the style of writing that Zeb Wells has adapted to. And I loved his Hellions run. And I know he worked with Grant Morrison in Tangled Web. But the thing is that this is just so idiotic, so confusing, and so frustrating. We have we don't know anything about Paul, or hardly anything about Paul, after 25 issues. And while it was set up to, it looked like it was set up for Mary Jane to die, I think they did a Vince Russo like swerve and decided to kill off Kamala Khan. And this is before the Marvels comes out. I don't know. Maybe they're thinking bring her back, bring her back in a limited series, make her a mutant like in the MCU. But right now the backlash, the right now the news is out, and Kamala Khan, people who are fans of the Miss Marvel comic, the Miss Marvel series, or Miss Marvel in general, they are mad. I even heard that there are even some death threats being sent to the creators. Now, if Disney sees this as a problem, they will either get Kevin Lowe and Zeb Wells. They will either lay off Kevin Lowe or pull Zeb Wells off the book, and they'll put in new staff, new writers. But that's if Disney does anything, and I think they're more concerned about their movies and their theme parks right now. And CB Cebulski, he's hardly does anything in that office. He just lets the inmates run the asylum. Just look at X-Men, the Krakoa era. It's just makes so many people angry, especially as a Spider-Man fan myself. I love Spider-Man. I grew up. Some of my favorite Spider-Man runs were when Todd McFarlane did the art, when J. Michael Straczynski did the writing, and I even read some of the earlier stuff from the 70s and the 80s. One More Day still sucked. Clone Saga still sucked. But for me, Spider-Man was always there. It's so heartbreaking to know that if, as a fan, I'm not doing that. The writers or the creators don't want to listen to me because I'm just one voice in the wind. And while and one of the things that I find frustrating is that they basically made MJ seem cheap in issue 25. Her and Paul were hitting on each other after 4 months, so it seemed like she just gave up on Peter after 4 months, and it just seems so. It seems like a character assassination on Mary Jane. And the fact is that Stan created Mary Jane to be like the Lois Lane to Peter to Spider-Man Superman. That's their Spider-Man and Mary Jane are basically as intrinsical in comic book romance as Superman and Lois Lane. And they when and they have kept them apart for almost 15 years. They kept them unmarried. They got back together during Nick Spencer's run. But Dan Slott didn't want, during Dan Slott's run, he kept them apart. He didn't want them. He, like, believed in his soul that they don't belong together. But this is one thing that a lot of fans don't get, or a lot of people don't get. Peter and Mary Jane had been through a lot. They were separated. They they almost got divorced. At first, Peter didn't. Mary Jane refused to marry Peter twice because she was afraid he was keeping secrets like her dad. She even found out he was Spider-Man, and when we learned there then Mary Jane learned everything because Peter once told her went to help her sister when her father framed her, and he told her everything, why he became Spider-Man, why he did became what he did what he did. And the thing is that Mary Jane is more intrinsical to Spider-Man than anybody that ever any other of his romances. Sure, Black Cat fights crime and wears a superhero costume and everything, but she's more of a bang buddy for Peter. But and 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 Gwen Stacy may have been his first love, but and she was also brought back to life during House of M. But that's Peter's regret. It's he regretted seeing Gwen died during House of M, and Scarlet Witch just brought the regret, just let Peter live without regret. That's why Uncle Ben was there too, and it just makes it so even more harder knowing that Mary Jane is with another man after them beating Mephisto at the end of Nick Spencer's run. And I know Zeb Wells said in an interview that his end game is Peter and MJ, but I don't think we're going to like the path it's going to take. After the after the death of Ms. Marvel, it's going to be a Dr. Octopus arc, and then Tombstone's wedding, and then after that it's going to be two of Peter's deadliest foes, and it's going to keep going like that. Maybe Zeb Wells will start dropping clues of what the hell is going on in his run, because we don't know anything other than Peter's life is crap, and he'll probably wish he was dead. I mean, the depression I see on the pages, the emotion, it just makes me sad. And I know that Zeb Wells is trying to make a deconstruction of a superhero, which is all the rave right now. But there are better ways to do it, and there are better stories of doing it. Better stories where a hero loses everything and then they come back better than ever. Like off the top of my head, Daredevil Born Again, Batman Bruce Wayne Fugitive, Spawn Series 1, and those were all good. They were all good, perfectly written. They all gave a good narrative, but this one is just so combobulated that it hardly makes any sense at all, with so much that we still don't know yet. Zeb Wells or Kevin Lowe think that maybe we will still want to do it, but I don't know, dude. I don't know if I want to keep going. I just want to, after issue 26, I might take a break of Amazing Spider-Man because it looks like it's just going to be more filler, more, 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 more stories that should have finished long ago, more of what we have gotten in the last 2 years of Zeb Wells' run. And this type of this type of mistreatment of a character always got me. And I just can hardly take it. And one of the things is that I don't like about his writing, his the new characters is Paul. I hate Paul. Paul is just an egotistical, swarmy, douchey narcissist who basically stole Peter from MJ, and he became MJ's boyfriend because he was literally the last man on Earth. I think she's doing this more out of, but after 25 issues, we still hardly know anything about Paul, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And the fact that maybe MJ is doing this for those kids that they found, those kids that supposedly survived a place where a world where all human life was destroyed by the gods. I think she's not telling Peter the whole truth, or why, or something. I think that she's trying to protect Peter, but the weight of this thing is getting too much for her. Will start getting too much for her. Because I don't think I think she still truly loves Peter. And this is all leading up to, and at the end of Zeb Wells' run, it's going to lead up to issue 1000. And a lot of people want issue 1000 to be Peter and Mary Jane to be remarried, including me. And that would most likely not happen. I mean, look what Tom King did with Batman and Selena Kyle, Batman and Catwoman. He pulled the rug right under us, and he ended up getting fired from the book. They put him on Human Target. And this is another thing that I don't get. Peter and Mary Jane are together in almost every other Spider-Man medium, whether it's cartoons, whether it's movies, video games, etc., or even in alternate Earths in the Marvel's comics. It's almost always Peter and Mary Jane, like they're connected, yet not in the main continuity. And say what you want about Nick Spencer, and going back to the mystery box, say what you want about Nick Spencer's writing, or Nick Spencer's run, he actually gave us clues on what was happening. The entire thing had like certain clues of the big bad evil guy. We were given the Kindred in the first issue, who were minions to the Green Goblin, who turned out to be Mephisto. And this was the type of writing that I liked. It was it was fun. It was sometimes goofy, but it still felt like Spider-Man. And I don't feel that with Zeb Wells' run. It's just too depressing, too too heartbreaking, and too too soul shattering. When I was a kid, I couldn't celebrate my birthday because I was born into a Jehovah Witness society. And one time I went to my uncle's and it was my birthday and I couldn't celebrate it. I went to my uncle's when I was 9 years old. And he took me to a comic book shop with my brother. And he said, "We're going to get you your birthday. I'm going to get you your birthday present. Just don't tell your dad." And this was after my parents were divorced, and I was visiting him. So when I went, me and my brother went in there. He got two. I ended up getting three because it was my birthday. I picked up Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 355, and it was the middle of the round robin sidekicks revenge arc. And in the front cover, it had the Punisher, Night Thrasher, and Moon Knight along with Spider-Man, and I thought it was that co- that cover was so cool. And then I picked up a Spectacular Spider-Man which had Ghost Rider on it, and I picked up a issue of the Incredible Hulk, and a lot and I Spider-Man became my favorite superhero since then. I've watched the movies. I've watched I've played the games except for the PlayStation ones since I don't have a PlayStation. I've I've started collecting again with Warhammer and Spider-Man, and I'm getting into Marvel Crisis Protocol, which has Spider-Man. I've got I am I've going I'm gonna go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I Spider-Man is my hero, just like my dad. My dad is like Spider-Man. He he's came to this country with nothing, and he refused to let people he refused to he refused to quit, and Spider-Man refuses to quit. But now the way that Zeb Wells and the current Marvel the current Marvel editors have been treating him, it just seems so unfair. You took away his support structure, took away his friends, took away his family and the woman he loves, and on top of that, you gave us this Vince Russo swerve, which is probably gonna cause more backlash than you'd expect. Because even though like some Comicsgate people hate Ms. Marvel, and Disney and Kevin Feige have plans to make her the new starstruck person in the Marvel MCU. It's it it's pretty it's a pretty desperate stunt. I was prepared for it to be Mary Jane. I even called it the month of anxiety But I don't know what's going on right now. Why they decided to. Uh, I heard that Kevin, like it was Kevin Lowe's decision to kill off Miss Marvel instead to get the pressure off to get some of the pressure off Zeb Wells for his mistreatment of Mary Jane as a character. And it is it is very frustrating right now. I'm gonna take a break from Amazing Spider-Man because it doesn't look like it's gonna go anywhere. I'm thinking about coming back maybe in winter, December, when the last 10 issues come out, maybe even sooner. Because this is just the entire arcs, the entire arc that just that is about to be completed. It is it just doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is a convoluted mess, and I don't I don't know why this type of writing can come out of this that why Zeb Wells adapted this type of writing, and it's just so depressing seeing Peter like this, seeing him wallowing in misery, seeing everything that, seeing him lying to himself, seeing him almost losing hope, and this thing just makes my head spin, and I really can't think enough of this. Anyways, that's all I got. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to Brian LCS and a comic book worm. I'll leave the descriptions so they commented on my last video of Spider-Man on why Marvel wants to torture us Spider-Man fans, and I'll leave their description on the video below. Next video will probably be more upbeat. I'm working on going to be working on the review for the Warhammer novel, The Infinite and the Divine. And I am also currently reading Spider-Man Life Story Extra by Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley Jr. or Mark Bagley, and I'll do a review about that. And I am also going to go when I go see Amazing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I am going to do a review on that as well. So that's all I got to say right now. Hopefully Marvel can get their collective heads out of their asses. But right now, I'm gonna rest, wallow in my own self-pity. Maybe go to my comic book shop later because it's new comic book day. But that's all I got today. So, this is Bandito Bane, the well-rounded nerd, the Super Spider-Man fan, and the Warhammer noob, saying, keep playing, and God bless.